Rings and ring boxes are invariably associated with happy occasions, engagements, wedding, graduation, and things like that. Usually the focus is on the ring itself, and the box is an afterthought provided by the jeweler. For more elaborate presentation, you can make a custom ring box like this bow box, this double ring box here holding an engagement ring and wedding band set, or a sweet little box here for a little ring, so that you're giving a gift within a gift. But if you want to make something really spectacular, we need to think outside the box, in a manner of speaking, and go to something a little less conventional. In my videos on how to make a box that looks like a cupcake, I mentioned that the cupcake box can be turned into a cupcake ring box, but I didn't go into details at that point. What I'm going to do now is to show you how you can take a nice but conventional cupcake box and turn it into a lovely ring box. I mean, imagine the delight of somebody opening up something like this and seeing a ring inside. And here's how to do it. You start out by drilling a hole in the middle of the insert. This is the regular box. This is a solid piece of wood. We drill a hole the same size as the smaller hole here. In this case, it's 1.5 inches. I feel like I'm playing a shell game here. And we drill just until the forster bit, the tip of it, pierces the wood. The wood is 1/2 inch thick. If you do it just until it pierces, you'll have enough wood here to support the velvet that you're going to put to cover the hole. And you gain an additional 3/8 of an inch. This plus the depth of the box will give you enough clearance for even the largest ring. Alright, so you drill that hole, and the next thing you need to do is to make the ring insert. Now, I found that the easiest and least expensive way to get a professional looking ring insert, which I used on the boxes that I showed you at the beginning of this video, starts out with a small piece of 1/2 inch thick foam core, obtainable at most craft stores. I paid about $6 for a piece that was 20 inches by 30 inches, which makes probably a lifetime supply of inserts, and I cover it with adhesive-backed velvet, which is easy to apply. It's a bit pricey, but you get a lot of mileage out of it, so the cost per ring insert is really very minimal. The first thing that I do is to mark the edge of the foam core with 2 marks. One is 1 inch from the long edge, the other is 1 3/16 inches over. I've marked them points A and points B. Then I take my combination square or anything else that will give you a 45-degree angle. I put it at point A and I draw a pencil line. I then start at point B and go to the bottom of that pencil line with a straight edge, and that gives me a wedge that's wider on the top. It's 3/16 wide at the top and goes down to meet at the bottom. I put this on its edge and cut it with a very fine blade, a size 1 or a 00, with a scroll saw. 2 cuts, very simple. Once you get into the foam, it goes through very quickly, and that gives you a very neat slot. Then I take a pattern that corresponds to the size hole. You can make the inserts different sizes, limited by the 2-inch capacity of most scroll saws. If you want something wider, as I did for the double ring box, I made 2 of these and glued them together, and then put velvet over the hole so it looked like one piece. For most of my ring boxes, I centered the line on the slot. attach it with temporary adhesive, and then cut it out. However, I found that for the cupcake boxes, I needed a little more room in the front. The ring that I'm showing here has a pretty big decorative part. So by moving the slot a little bit back from center, it gets more room, gives me more room, and this looks centered. And the way you do that, now the slot is going toward the back, the ring goes in toward the back, is to place this so that it lines up with the front of the slot, so you're moving it all a little bit forward. Not much, just a little bit, and then it's glued into place. And after you've cut it out along the perimeter, it ends up looking like this. Now the next step is to cover it with velvet. Since this is off-centered, I fold my piece. I'm testing it out first before I make it sticky. And I test it, I put it in all the way down the slot to see if it will cover. Now it doesn't have to go all the way down to the bottom, but you want to make sure that it will stay put. Once you've pretty well figured out where you're going to fold it, you remove the self-stick backing. I suppose you probably could slit it in the center and try to expose it little by little, but I found that that doesn't seem to be really necessary. Now you're going to insert it into the slot. You can open this up, even if it should snap. By the time you wedge it into the box, it will hold together. It may take a couple of tries, but if you're patient and push it in, you'll get it in place. All right, here I have it centered, and once I have it in, now I'm going to commit at this point. I start pushing it down from the slot outward. When I come to the ends, I push it down. This is why I'm using the self-stick rather than glue. I want to get instant adhesion, but I don't want to have to worry about messy glue getting in places where I don't want it. All right, now, when you're finished, it should look something like this. You take the scissors and trim away all the excess. It's going to fit snugly into the hole that you drilled, so you don't want a lot of extra material. And once it's wedged in firmly, it's not going to go anyplace. Once you've done the trimming, you're going to wedge it into the base. I find that a screwdriver and a lot of patience works well. The foam core will compress. You just want to make sure that the velvet doesn't come up on the sides. So you work it around little by little, tucking it in. Give it a final push, and we turn this gift of a ring into a gift of a lovely box with a ring. I hope you decide to give it a try, whether you make it with a conventional box or whether you do it with something offbeat like a cupcake box. But the use of the foam core and the self-stick velvet solves a problem of how to get a really elegant, professional-looking ring insert without spending a fortune on it. Have fun with it and enjoy your boxes.